I don't know why I keep walking that path. I think it's because stopping feels like admitting something I'm not ready to admit. Let me back up. I'm 34. I work remotely. Copywriting, nothing exciting. Late October, I moved to a new neighborhood after a divorce. I don't need to get into here. Small apartment, second floor, kitchen, window facing the park. The park was one of the reasons I took the place. There's a main trail, a loop, roughly half a mile, wide enough for joggers and dog walkers, lined with old oaks and a few benches. I started walking it every morning around 5:30. I have a yellow lab named Rook. 7 years old, calm, good on a leash. The walks gave me structure when nothing else did. November fog in that part of Ohio is something else. It rolls in overnight, and by early morning, the park is basically a white room. You can see maybe 30, 40 feet ahead. The path disappears into it. Trees appear and vanish. You walk by habit and memory more than by sight. I didn't mind it. Rook didn't either. There was something peaceful about it. The city noise dropped away, and it was just the two of us and the crunch of gravel. The first time I barely registered it. We were about halfway around the loop, coming up on the second bench from the east entrance. Through the fog, I could make out someone sitting on it. A woman, I thought. Dark coat, hair down. Rook didn't react, which is usually a good sign. I gave a small nod as we passed. She didn't look up. I didn't think about it again until I got home, started making coffee, and saw my gray fleece hanging on the hook by the door. The one I wear when it's cool, but not cold enough for my real coat. I'd been wearing it when I left. I looked down at myself. I had on my heavy coat, the one I hadn't touched in months, because the zipper broke, and I kept meaning to get it fixed. I stood there for a minute, trying to reconstruct the morning. Had I switched jackets before leaving? I didn't remember doing that, but I didn't remember not doing that either. It was 5:30 in the morning. I was half asleep. I filed it under nothing and moved on. The second time happened 3 days later. Same fog, same route. Rook was running ahead on a tight leash, the way he always does on the last stretch. He can smell that we're heading home. We came around the final bend, and I saw the bench, the same one, second from the entrance. There was a jacket on it, grey fleece, worn on the left sleeve. I stopped. Rook pulled forward and whined. Not scared, just impatient. I walked closer. The jacket was folded neatly, not thrown down. Set there, deliberately. I picked it up. On the inside of the collar was a label I'd written myself with a marker 2 years ago when I dropped it off at the dry cleaner. S. Merritt, apartment 14. It was my jacket, the one hanging on the hook at home. I looked at it, then looked around. Fog. Silence. Rook sat beside me and stared at me. I carried it home. I don't know why. I just couldn't leave it there. At home, the hook by the door was empty. I didn't register it right away. I opened the door, hung the jacket up, put the kettle on, and then about 2 minutes later, it hit me. The jacket was supposed to be on the hook. I'd hung it there the night before. I know I did. I searched the apartment, checked every chair, the couch, the bedroom closet, nothing. Then I decided I was losing my mind from loneliness and sleep deprivation, and the next morning I just went out again. 3 days of nothing. Normal walks, the fog thinning. Toward the end of November, the bench empty. I almost convinced myself I'd somehow carried the jacket to the park myself. Sleepwalking? Distraction? I don't know. Then came that morning. The fog was back, thicker than before. A literal white wall, I could see maybe 15 feet, not more. Rook was walking beside me instead of pulling ahead, which was strange on its own. Dogs notice what we ignore. We were approaching the second bench. The woman was there again. Dark coat, hair down, same posture. Leaning slightly forward, elbows on her knees. I slowed. Rook stopped. I stared at her until I understood what was wrong. She was wearing my grey fleece over the dark coat, just draped across her shoulders like a shawl. I can't describe exactly what happened inside me. Not fear right away. More like a complete freeze. Like reading a sentence and not understanding the words, even though you know every letter. "Excuse me," I said. She didn't react. "That's my jacket." Nothing. The fog around her was completely still, even though I could feel a faint breeze on my face. Rook made a sound I'd never heard from him before. Not a bark, not a whine, something low from his throat. A warning, I stepped back, then again. Then I turned and walked fast, not running, just very fast, toward the entrance. I didn't look back. At home, I checked the hook first thing. The jacket was on it. I touched it. Real, dense, slightly cold, like it had just been brought in from outside. I take a different route through the park now. The bench stays off to the right. I don't see it. Rook sometimes stops at the spot where the turn used to be and stares into the fog. Just stands there until I tug the leash. I haven't thrown the jacket out. I don't know why.
I took the job because I needed to disappear for a few months. Not in a bad way. It's just that after the company I'd worked at for 8 years folded, I needed somewhere without people, without my phone, without having to perform any version of myself. When an acquaintance asked if I'd be interested in staying at a lighthouse, equipment caretaker, watch the generator, boat comes every 2 weeks with supplies, I said yes almost immediately. I won't name the island. Small, uninhabited, 15 miles off the coast of Maine. The lighthouse is active but fully automated. All I had to do was monitor the backup generator, log weather conditions, and report if anything failed. 2 hours of work a day. The rest was mine. The first 3 weeks were the best weeks I'd had in years. Quiet, wind, seabirds. I read, cooked, walked along the shore. At night it was dark, in a way I hadn't seen since I was a kid. The fog set in at the end of November. Not ordinary fog. It settled on the island heavy and long. The forecast said 3 to 4 days. Visibility dropped to 0 in under an hour. I stood on the light deck and couldn't see the rocks below. Just white. The beam was working. I checked that first. The radio signal weakened but held. The next boat was 4 days out. I slept fine the first night. The second night, I woke up around 3. I didn't know what had woken me at first. I lay there, listening. Wind, waves, the distant hum of the generator, and something else. I sat up. From below, from the direction of the rocks, came a child's voice. I'm not saying it seemed like one, or something like one. It was a child's voice, quiet and even, like a child murmuring to themselves or counting under their breath. I couldn't make out words. It ran for a few seconds, then cut off, then started again. I got dressed and went out onto the deck with a flashlight. The fog swallowed the beam a yard out. I shone it down toward the rocks. Nothing. White wall. The voice stopped the moment I opened the door. I stood there 10 minutes, listening. Wind, water, nothing else. I went back inside, logged it. 2:58, anomalous sound from the direction of the rocks, source unknown. Lay down. Didn't sleep for a long time. Third night again. Same time, same cadence. This time I lay there longer before getting up, trying to figure out whether the sound was moving, whether there was a pattern. There was a pattern. The voice repeated something at even intervals, roughly every 20 seconds. I got up quieter. Didn't open the door right away, just cracked it, and listened through the gap. The voice was clearer. It wasn't coming from the water. It was coming from below, from the stairs. The lighthouse sits on a rock ledge. There's an external metal staircase, 18 steps from the rock level to the entrance door. It's there for when the boat docks at the lower shelf. In fog, you can't see it from the deck. The voice was on the stairs. I knew that not in my head, but in my body. Something clenched in my stomach before I'd finished the thought. I shut the door, quietly, slid the bolt. It was there, I'd just never used it. Stepped back. The voice went silent. I stood at the wall for maybe half an hour. Then I took the flashlight to the small side window that looks out over the stair landing and looked down. The fog was dense, but the light gave me 5 or 6 feet of visibility directly below the window. On the top step of the staircase, I saw footprints. Small, wet, bare, no tread, no shoe shape, just the press of a foot and toes. They led up the staircase and ended at the landing in front of the door, right where I'd been standing minutes before. I looked at them for a long time, then lowered the flashlight, then raised it again. The prints were fading, drying out or evaporating, hard to tell in the fog. After a few minutes, they were almost gone. I didn't sleep the 4th night at all. I sat at the table with the light on, radio next to me, and a kitchen knife in my hand. Not because it would have done anything. I just needed to be holding something. No voice. Morning of the 4th day, the boat came a day early. The owner said the forecast had given a window, and he decided not to wait. I packed in 20 minutes. Already in the boat, pulling away from the island, I looked back at the lighthouse through the thinning fog. At the base of the staircase, on the rocks, something was standing. Small. Motionless. I didn't say anything to the owner. I don't know why. When I looked again, the fog had closed in and the rocks were gone. In the log for the 4th night, I wrote only, "Quiet."
I've worked at the warehouse for 6 years. Night shift, 10 to 6. The route home I know better than my own face. Through the gate, across the lot, car in the same spot, out onto the highway, 20 minutes home. That night, there was fog. Not bad at first, just the kind of haze you get in October in an industrial district. I walked to my car the usual way. 8 rows from the gate, left side, under the light with the broken fixture. That light hadn't been replaced in about 2 years. I used it as a landmark. I reached the 8th row. The light wasn't there, not broken, gone, empty pole. I stopped and looked around. The fog had gotten heavier fast, like someone had dimmed the lights in a room. I figured I'd just taken the wrong row and moved left. The cars looked right. Ford, Chevy, an old pickup missing the rear bumper, all the usual stuff. Just no gray Honda where mine should have been. I checked the adjacent rows, then the next ones. The fog was thickening by the minute. After 20 minutes, I could see 3 or 4 cars ahead, no more. I pulled out my phone, turned on the flashlight, started working methodically. Row by row. The lot was bigger than I remembered. I realized that not immediately, but when I'd walked what felt like 300 feet from the gate and still hadn't hit the fence. The fence was supposed to be at the far end, chain link with barbed wire, wasteland behind it. I'd walked past it every day for 6 years. It wasn't there. I stopped and listened. Silence. No traffic from the highway, no voices from the gate, no wind. Just fog and the feel of moisture on my collar. I called Dave, a coworker I'd clocked out with 20 minutes earlier. It rang, and he picked up right away. "You home already?" he asked. "No, I'm in the lot. I can't find my car." Pause. "Are you serious? Come out to the lot. Tell me what you see." I could hear him walking, pushing through a door, taking a few steps. Then a long silence. "I see the lot," he said carefully. "Your car's not in it." "I know. I'm looking for it." "How many rows to the fence from the gate?" 10, maybe 11. "I've walked about 15, and there's no fence." Silence. "Stay where you are. I'm coming." While I waited, I swept the flashlight around me. Cars were packed in tight, normal lot. Nothing unusual, except that I didn't recognize a single one. 6 years working there, I knew my coworkers' cars by sight. Who drove what, where they parked. Not one familiar vehicle. Then, I found mine. It was parked off to the side of the main rows, near the fence that shouldn't have been there. I walked up and stopped. The car was wrapped in plastic. Clear construction sheeting, tight, layered, fixed with tape. Windshield, side windows, door handles, all under the plastic. A thin film of dust underneath it on the hood, like the car had been sitting like that for weeks. I stood there and couldn't move. My phone buzzed. "Dave, I'm at the gate. Where are you?" "Come straight in, around row 14 or 15. I'll signal you." I raised the flashlight and waved it. A minute later, I heard his footsteps on the gravel, then his voice. "Found you! What the—" He stopped next to me, stared at the car, didn't say anything for a while. "When did this happen?" he finally said. "I don't know." "That's definitely your car?" "Yeah." We pulled the plastic off together. Underneath, everything was fine. Glass intact, locks worked. I got in and started it. Engine caught on the first try. Driving home, I tried to come up with an explanation. A prank. But who, and why, and when would anyone have had time to wrap an entire car during a shift? An accident. But the sheeting was done neatly, not in a hurry. The wrong car, but the plates are mine. The scratch on the bumper is mine. The travel mug on the back seat is mine. The next day, I asked security if they had camera footage from that night. The guard checked the log, then looked at me. "From which lot?" "The main one." "Main lot camera hasn't been recording since August. Cable got cut during construction. Nobody's gotten around to fixing it." I nodded and walked away. Nobody touched the car after that. The lot looks normal. The fence is right where it always was, at the end of row 10. I counted the rows the next day. 10. Exactly 10. I don't know where I was that hour.